So, publisher Qubic Games have recently turned 19 and they're celebrating the occasion with another massive sale on the games catalogue, many of which, by spending a single dollar, you can pick up with a hefty 95% discount, but more on that shortly. With so many games to choose from though, where do you spend your money? Well, in today's video I'm going to be highlighting 8 possible options for you to go with, which I personally feel like are some of the best games that they have to offer. So drop a like, subscribe for more Switch content, including reviews, deals, let's plays and more, and let's get started. Now, to get the most out of this sale, you're first going to want to go to the eShop and grab the game Colouring Book, a freebie published by Naptime Games. Doing so will drop the price of the featured games on screen now, and then all you have to do is buy one of these, for instance DIY Dessert for 99 cents, which will then drop the price of a bunch of other titles in the lineup down to 19 cents each. It's as simple as that. With that said though, let's get on to my recommendations. Now, first up we have what is undoubtedly one of my favourite titles in the lineup, that being AKANE, a fast-paced top-down action game which I've previously featured in one of my Dollar Deals episodes. This one though is centred around intense battles against waves of enemies, mixing fast-paced sword fighting with gunplay and the simple goal of achieving the highest score possible, but it's definitely notable for its difficulty level. The game is challenging and requires quick reflexes and strategy to survive against the increasing number of enemies, however it also has a satisfying level of depth to its mechanics, with multiple weapons and upgrades to unlock as you progress. The graphics though have that fantastic cyberpunk edge to them, with a colour scheme dominated by pinks and blues, and its pumping soundtrack fits the pace of the game perfectly. But overall, a fun and challenging game that will definitely appeal to fans of fast-paced action games and cyberpunk aesthetics. DungeonTop is our next title, and one for all you deck builder fans out there. Now, this one's roguelike gameplay loop has you working your way through procedurally generated dungeons and engaging in turn-based battles which take place on a grid, into which you place your cards in the form of both items and heroes, which are then used to attack and defeat enemies. Each card though costs a certain amount of mana to play, so strategizing is key to success, and there's a surprising amount of depth to the mechanics in this one, with a variety of factions and classes to choose from offering different playstyles, and each hero card having its own abilities with which to defeat its challenging enemies and bosses with. Throughout your runs though, you'll be building your deck, earning XP to level your character and collecting gold, which can then be used to unlock new classes and cards for subsequent runs, and successfully completing a run unlocks additional difficulties, so there's definitely plenty of replayability to be had with this one. All in all, a great little deck builder, which in my opinion is definitely worth the asking price. Now, if you're a fan of your roguelikes, then Mana Spark might be one worth checking out, but be warned, this one is a tough cookie to crack, and true to the genre, you die, you lose all your progress and must start over from the beginning. The progression system though has you rebuilding a village, into which you'll attract new settlers offering wares and weapons to aid you in combat, and the combat itself isn't just your standard whack everything until it dies affair, requiring a good amount of strategy and reflexes from the player, with a variety of classes, abilities and traps on offer which must be utilised wisely to guarantee success. Now, I myself am a fan of the more casual roguelikes where I can get on a run and snowball into an unstoppable force, but you won't find any of that here, as every procedurally generated run feels just as difficult as the last. But if you're up for a challenge and can handle a bit of permadeath, then you're sure to find a lot to like in Mana Spark. Now, if you're up for a bit of retro racing, Neodori Forever is an arcade racing game inspired by early 90s racing games like Outrun, weighing in heavily on those low poly visuals and slapping an 80s synthwave soundtrack in there for good measure. This one keeps things simple though, having you race through procedurally generated levels to the finish line, snagging pickups to maintain your fuel gauge which acts as your health bar, and speed boost to stay ahead of the cops and outrace rivals, and there's also coins to collect which can be used to unlock over 25 different cars. There's a great sense of speed to the game, and my only gripe is the drifting mechanic, which attempts to add a modern touch but turns out to be a little too finicky. But there's a reasonable selection of game modes on offer, and all in all it's a decent little racer. Door Kickers is our next title, a tactical strategy game that puts players in charge of a SWAT team tasked with taking down dangerous criminals and terrorists, with its gameplay requiring you to plan out efficient and effective routes through levels to take down enemies and complete objectives, and you're able to pause the action at any time to issue commands to your team members, who will then carry those orders out in real time. It's a cool concept which kind of feels like a mixture of the classic Rainbow Six and XCOM games, and in addition to its campaign, the game also features a mission generator, essentially offering unlimited amounts of replayability. It must be said that you'll likely spend a lot of your time trying to perfect levels to achieve 3 stars in them and unlock some rather expensive upgrades and character classes, so there is a bit of a grind with this one. But watching your SWAT crew execute a perfect breach is always a satisfying sight, and all in all it's a great little game for those looking for more of a strategy oriented offering. Another retro throwback in our lineup today is Coffee Crisis, a beat-em-up brawler inspired by the likes of Streets of Rage and Turtles in Time, which puts you in the shoes of baristas Nick and Ashley as they fight back against an alien invasion hell-bent on stealing the Earth's supply of coffee beans. A ludicrous story and a game which embraces its wacky humour with references to geeky pop culture and tongue-in-cheek dialogue, but one whose gameplay features a super responsive control scheme and some enjoyable combat mechanics complete with combos and special moves for you to master. The story mode in this one is relatively short, but its replayability is supplemented by random modifiers which change up the gameplay and keep things fresh, like a well-brewed Americano, and the game is best tackled in 2-player co-op mode, as large numbers of enemies and unfavourable modifiers can make things surprisingly challenging. A great little beat 'em up though, with an awesome soundtrack to boot. So next up are the Bit Trip titles, of which there are 6 in total, the majority of which feature a different genre of gameplay, but all essentially being arcade high-score chasers centred around rhythm-based gameplay with simple but addictive mechanics and phenomenal chiptune soundtracks to play along to. Now, depending on your own personal preferences, some of these will be more appealing than others to you, but Bit Trip Beat and Bit Trip Flux combine the simplicity of Pong with the pulsating beats of electronic music as you move a paddle to bounce back incoming blocks to the rhythm of the music. Bit Trip Runner is a platformer which has you jumping and sliding your way through a series of increasingly difficult levels, all crafted to match the beat of the music. Fate features shmup-style gameplay as you blast your way through psychedelic levels, earning upgrades to unlock new weapons and abilities. Void has you controlling a black hole, gobbling up black pixels to grow larger whilst avoiding white ones. And finally, Bit Trip Core has you controlling a central core, aiming lasers in 4 cardinal directions to destroy incoming pixels. Like I said, incredibly simple stuff, but well worth grabbing, especially if you're looking for some addictive time filler titles to play on the go. Finishing up then, we have Akuto Showdown, a perfect warm-up title for a competitive gaming night which pits 4 players against one another in arena-based deathmatch fights. Littered about its arenas you'll find weapons and items to snag, including pistols, grenades, shields and spades, and if all else fails you also have your trusty samurai sword to fall back on. But it's a last man standing affair which requires some keen reflexes and a little bit of cheese tactics to emerge victorious. While its selection of arenas is somewhat limited, each of them offers their own unique hazards to avoid, introducing some additional chaos to the action, and its control scheme is incredibly simple, making it a great one to just pick up and play and get those competitive juices flowing. But if you're looking for something to kick off a gaming night with, Akuto Showdown is a solid option to get the party started. And so there you have it, those are my recommendations for the Qubic anniversary sale, but which bargains have you snagged and which of them can you recommend to others? Let me know down in the comments section below. Hopefully this one helped you out though, and if it did, show your appreciation by dropping a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more Switch related goodness. For now though, I just want to thank you all once again for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves and game on.